Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be playing Starfield, but I'm going to be testing out the 1660 Ti. So Starfield has been a bit tough to run on a lot of hardware that I have, but I'd like to see what it's like on some more affordable hardware. So today I'm going to be testing it alongside my Ryzen 5 5600X and 32GB of RAM. I'm also using the latest Nvidia driver at the time of recording. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm at 1080p and I have the low preset with FSR and upscaling turned off. And yeah, let's see how we get on. So as you can see, we're not exactly getting a fantastic frame rate, but it is still fairly playable. It doesn't look the best. Can you guess what country I've landed on? So without upscaling on low settings, I'm kind of getting 45, 46-ish FPS. I think my frame rate reader there is a little bit broken. It's saying the average frame rate is 80, but I think that's just because it's a very high refresh rate monitor. During the load screen, it's going to go up to the max refresh rate. So I don't know if you noticed, but I've actually landed on Earth. This is where Ireland is meant to be. Ireland looks a lot sunnier than I'm used to. There's not something, if you've been playing it already or you've been watching people play, there's not a huge amount of difference between each of the presets. I'm going to mark this at medium, but I'm going to turn FSR off. Every one of the presets will turn off on a resolution scale, and FSR 2, which I'm not too fond of, but we move. Moving up to medium, you can see there's not much of a difference at all. Still in the 40s, the very low 40s. Every plan is going to be slightly similar in performance. Let's pull up the high, FSR off. Slightly better looking now. But now we're coming down to the 30 FPS mark. I will say one thing, I know there was an awful lot of, I suppose, anger about the 30 FPS limit for consoles, but even at 30 FPS, it's quite playable. It's a relatively smooth experience, but motion blur definitely helps out in this case, or if you're playing with a controller instead of mouse and keyboard, it does feel very smooth, a very playable experience. This isn't my main GPU. I have a 3060 Ti and I have a 6700 XT, which I'll be doing videos on as well. With the other two cards, I've been playing 1440p. In some areas, it can get down to 30, but still very playable for the most part. Keep pressing the wrong button. What I'm going to do now, we're going to go to display. I am now going to put on FSR 2, and we are going to drop it to high. So it's usually at 62%. I've seen a lot of people put up to 66. See how it looks. It is a little bit softer, but we have seen a small increase in the frame rate. We're going up to the high 30s as opposed to the low 30s. I think this is what FSR quality is. The 66% render scale. It does look a little bit softer. I look at some of the textures. Textures don't look too bad. Some of the bits I put in here. I still have a lot to learn. I'm still very early on in the game. I just decided to fly to Ireland to see what it looks like, and it looks pretty bad. What happened to my boy? I'm going to just pull it to ultra settings and see how we fare. Okay, frame time has gone quite high now. It's a bit more blurry, but it does look slightly better. It is very hard to tell. I don't know if you noticed, but there's not a huge difference between low and high. We are getting down to 29s, 28s and stuff. It does look slightly better. And this is with FSR2 enabled. Let me go back and disable it. That's the wrong thing. I have to adjust my sensitivity. Let's turn FSR off, ultra settings. see how we're getting on. This is the 30 FPS experience at 1080p. Bit blurry, and this is, I don't have high hopes for some of the cities because there's not much out here. This is usually where I find the frame rate to be highest. There's not much going on. Yeah, I think this card, well, I shouldn't blame the card too much. It's not the best optimized title as much as Todd Howard might say it is. Okay, so now we're on New Atlantis. And we are at a cinematic frame rate. Settings, display. Let's go to low with FSR. Let's see how we fare. Oh god, that's bad. Oh, that's disappointing. What happened to you, Sarah? Yeah, the lowest settings. I mean, it's playable. If you don't mind it looking like a PlayStation 3 game. Really rough. You can see sort of distant objects as well. There's an awful lot of flickering whenever I walk past it. It's just not a good... It's a better implementation of FSR2 than I've seen in other games, but it's not great on the lowest settings. Let me go back. Settings, display. Let's turn FSR2 off. Just have it low. It's still not looking good. So I'm gonna go to medium. FSR2 off. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not great. There's an awful lot of shimmering here still. I mean, FSR2 is off. I don't know why it's still shimmering. Settings, display. Scaling is off. Yikes. Yeah, 23 FPS, 24 FPS. This is... I'm still pretty early into the game. I don't know if there's any more places like Atlantis that are this resource intensive. It looks like the cities are... You know, this is probably the worst performance you're going to see in the game. In this resource intensive area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back indoors. Because I think between the planet side events and indoors, this is probably more where you're going to spend most of your time gaming. Rather than wandering around these streets or through these bushes. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. Let's go high with FSR on and see how we're getting on.
It's been quieter around here ever since Vladimir went to live on the eye full time.
There's a bit of ghosting around her when she runs, and it does look soft. Settings, display, medium, FSR2 off.
I know everyone's excited by the artifacts, but we need to...
I mean, it is disappointing. I know Todd Howard said that this is optimized. It's optimized in the sense that I haven't really encountered many bugs in my gameplay, which is astounding for a Bethesda game. But still, I would have expected more than this. In corridored areas, we're getting high 40s, low 50s. I mean, this isn't bad. It's not a bad experience at all. Display. Let's go ultra with FSR on. Slight improvements to the lighting and shadows, but not a huge amount. Like, if you're just going in here, it's a fairly playable experience. Like I said at the start of the game, 30 FPS in this game is a lot more playable than 30 FPS in others that I've encountered. If you're used to playing on console, it's actually a pretty decent experience. Settings. Personally, I think medium without upscaling on For this card, the 1660 Ti is the best performance. It is kind of softer shadows, but like we're getting 46 here in the corridor, and we're getting 50s in the rooms. I think medium 1080p, this is the best balance. You are going to have that problem of going through New Atlantis. New Atlantis is just very resource intensive.
You never expected to end up involved in something like this.
But like, this isn't the worst performance. This is obviously tanking the FPS with the effects here. But like,
Ever since I got here,
it is still playable. Then we're back to cinematic out here. It is disappointing. This is going to be a game that, if you're on lower end hardware, it is going to be tough. We do have, like, FSR 2 has been fantastic for lower end older GPUs. It doesn't look great. But if you don't mind it, all power to you. That's pretty much it for the 1660 Ti. It's a mixed bag. It is playable. If you're willing to tailor the settings to what you like. It's not going to be a 60 FPS plus experience, unfortunately. At least without making it look like it was filmed in 1976. But without further ado, thanks very much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it. I do have a few more videos coming up with testing Starfield and different graphics cards, including the 3060 Ti, and I've also done the RX 6700 XT, so please leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see those. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Take care, bye for now.